It's time to talk about the present perfect verb tense and when we use it. We've already talked a little bit about how to make the present perfect. You know that it always has two parts, have or has, plus the past participle. So we have said, have known, have visited. You also know that some of these past participles are regular, like visited, and they have that ed. And other past participles are irregular, like known. So I hope you keep practicing with those irregular past participles so they become easier for you to remember. Now we are going to talk about when we use the present perfect verb tense. And there are two major times that we use the present perfect verb tense. So over here, I give the first reason that you would use the present perfect. This is for an action or a situation that started in the past, but it continues to now. So an action that started in the past and continues to now. If we think of that, what did I do? If we think of what that might look like visually, here's my timeline right here, and this line is now. So when we're talking about something starting in the past, it's back here, okay? And it continues up to the present. So these are usually used with since or for. So you might have, I've had my dog for 3 years. So I got my dog in the past, and I continue to have him up till now. Or I could say, that's actually not true. Let's do August. We have been in class since August. Our class started in August, and it continues till now. So notice that after since, we give the beginning point, when something started. The class started in August. When we say for, we give the amount of time. I've had my dog for 3 years, for 10 years, for 2 weeks. This is going to be a length of time. Okay. So that's our first major use of the present perfect. An action or situation that started in the past but continues till now. The second use of the present perfect is actually very different than that. We also use the present perfect for finished events and actions. So things that are completed. That sounds a lot like the simple past, right? We use the simple past for finished actions, completed actions. Things that are finished now. But what's the difference? For the present perfect, we're talking about finished actions and events when you give no specific time. You don't say exactly when. You don't say 2 years ago. You don't say in January. You're talking more general about things that happened, but not exactly when they happened. Maybe you don't know. Maybe it's not important. It doesn't matter. But the important thing is that you don't give any specific time. So this situation with finished actions, with present perfect, has 3 main uses. The first is recent actions in the past. So they happened recently, or they just happened. So you might say, I recently, present perfect. I have recently graduated. So my present perfect verb, have graduated. This is something that happened recently. I don't say in June. I don't say 3 years ago, because that's specific time. I'm telling you it happened recently, but not exactly when. I could also use the word just. I have just graduated. That has the same meaning. Something that's happened in the recent past. It's finished, but it happened recently. We also use the present perfect for finished actions and events with no specific time. When we're really talking about experiences we've had or we haven't had in our life. We often use these with ever or never. Not always, but you will often see questions like, have you ever? Right? Have you ever been to China? Have you ever seen a donkey? Right? Have you ever ridden in a hot air balloon? So have you ever seen? This is our past participle of see. We're using the present perfect here. Now the question doesn't talk about exactly when. It's just asking about an experience you've ever had in your life. You could also say, I have never. I've never been to China. That's true. I would love to, but I have never been. So I'm telling you, I've never had that experience, right? I'm talking about in general in my whole life. I also could say, I have been. Or, I have visited. I have visited Thailand. That's true. Now, I didn't tell you when. That's important. Remember, no specific time. I'm just telling you that I have done it in my life sometime, but I don't tell you exactly when. Okay, and then our third use of the present perfect for finished actions in the past with no specific time is when we're talking about repeated actions in the past. This is when we say how many times something happened. So, I've been to the bank 3 times this week. Okay. So I don't tell you exactly when I've gone. You know, it's sometime during this week, but you don't know exactly when. And I say, I've been there 3 times. So we're talking about how many times something has repeated. I could also say something like, I have had 3 flat tires this year. So I've had that problem. It's repeated 3 times over the year. We know it's happened during the year, but I don't say exactly when. I don't say in January, in February, in March. So if we were going to talk about, draw the picture that kind of matches the situation, again, we have our timeline. Again, we have now. And in our first situation here, it's recent actions in the past. So I'd put my X here close to now, but I'm going to put a little question mark here. Why? We know it's recent, but we don't know exactly when it was. In our second situation, it's something that's happened sometime in your life. So I'll put the X further away. It's not recent, but it's happened at some point. And again, we don't know when. And then finally, for repeated actions in the past, I might draw a picture that looks something like this. So notice that repeat is not the same as continue. Continue looks like it never stops. Go, 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 go. Repeat is something that happens and stops. Happens and stops. Happens and stops. Like 3 flat tires. I fixed it every time, but then I got a new flat tire. That's not continue. That is repeat. Okay? So these are my pictures to represent A, B, and C. Now, the last thing I want to do is take a look at our example sentences over here. And I want you to think, which situation are we looking at? Is it an action or a situation that started in the past and continues to now? Or is this a finished event or action in the past with no specific time? Okay, so you have said that many times. Have said is our present perfect verb. What is it? Does it continue till now? Or is it finished? I would say that is a finished action. And which one? I would say C. This is a finished action that has repeated in the past many times. The next one, have known. What would you say? Why did we use the present perfect? Did you say number 1? I would agree. So this is a situation where the action started in the past and it continues to now. Have never visited the city. Why did we use the present perfect? This is an experience that you've ever, or in this case, never had. She has been at school since 9 a.m. In this case, we have an action that started in the past, 9 a.m., and it continues to now. Have you ever felt guilty about something? This is a question about an experience, right? So it's going to be this, to be. I have just quit my job. Why did we use the present perfect? Did you say recent action in the past? It's finished recently in the past. And then the school has recently started an EMT program. Same one, right? We have recently. And finally, he has seen that movie 10 times or more. These are finished actions, but they're repeated actions in the past. So that's going to be an example of 2C. So I hope this makes the present perfect a little bit more clear for you. And we will start to do some practice.